Hi there, I'm Anna Hughes, the Director of Flight Free UK. We're a behaviour change organisation that asks people to take a year off flying as a way to reduce emissions and also to inspire a social shift in the narrative around aviation. Now, not everybody flies, but for those who do, flying will probably make up the largest part of your carbon footprint. So flying less is a vital part of reaching net zero emissions, which is something that the Scottish Parliament has promised to do by 2045. So how can they do that? Well, the key thing here is reducing demand. Now, you will hear about technology fixes and the options there from some of the other speakers, which will reduce emissions but won't get us where we need to be without also reducing demand. So there are several things we can do here with regards to airport expansion, with regards to taxation, in terms of having alternatives, viable alternatives, and also demonstrating the behaviour change that we need to see. So I'll take each of those things in turn. Firstly, airport expansion. Now, the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, says that the UK should limit growth on airports to 25% above 2019 levels in order to reach our net zero targets. Now, most airports are planning for growth well above 25%, including Edinburgh, Glasgow and Aberdeen. In addition, the SNP supports Heathrow expansion, although that's under review. The problem with Heathrow expansion is that it would lead to an extra 600,000 tonnes of CO2 emissions per year from Scottish airports alone, and that's according to analysis by the Scottish Government. So you can see that it's not compatible with reaching net zero. So firstly, the policy should be to adopt a policy across the board of no airport expansion. Secondly, taxation. Now, we don't tax aviation fuel, but we do tax passengers with the air passenger duty. Apart from the Highlands and Islands, those are exempt. Now, a manifesto promise from 2016 by the SNP was to replace APD with an air departure tax, which was to then be halved and then scrapped altogether. However, after Nicola Sturgeon declared a climate emergency in early 2019, the Finance Secretary, Derek Mackay, said that reducing the air departure tax was no longer compatible with its climate targets. Because, of course, if you remove the tax, it encourages more flights and therefore more emissions. So that would be one of the policies to maintain the APD or equivalent. Another option to introduce some sort of frequent flyer levy, so the more people fly, the more they pay, and then after perhaps 3 or so flights a year, it would become prohibitively expensive to take those flights. So these are all ways that taxation can reduce demand or manage demand. Now, if we're asking people not to fly, we need to provide an alternative. So investing in rail as an alternative is really key here. Now, London to Edinburgh, there is a train, of course, but that's actually the 4th busiest flight route in Europe. So why are people choosing to fly that route? Two major barriers: cost and time. So investing in making rail cheaper would make it much more attractive to a lot more people. In fact, though, interestingly, there was a study from Edinburgh University which looked at staff travel over time, and on average, actually, it wasn't quicker to fly once you've factored in all the extra things, getting to the airport, baggage claim, all that kind of stuff. And in fact, it wasn't much cheaper either on average. But the emissions savings, it's 75% less polluting if you choose to take the train on that route. So really important that we get this incentive. So investment in reliable, regular rail, cheaper, more consistent fares, better booking systems, better promotion, perhaps more night trains, even night trains that go as far as Paris. This would really open up rail travel to a lot of people living in Scotland. Now onto internal travel policies and leading by example. Now, the government's travel policy for staff is that they shouldn't fly within the UK, within mainland UK. Sounds pretty good. However, the government's permanent secretary and policy advisor to Nicola Sturgeon took 58 flights between Edinburgh and London over an 18-month period, whereas she only took 13 trips by train. At the same time, another top official took a similar number of journeys, but nearly all by train, so 62 by train and only 5 by air. So that demonstrates that it is possible for this to be a policy that is carried through. Robust internal policy is as important as external policies. Leading by example is very powerful when it comes to demonstrating the behaviour that we all need to adopt. Now, Transport Scotland says that strong air links will ensure Scotland can host more international events and conferences. Perhaps ironically, the next big conference in Glasgow is COP, a climate conference. This is a big chance for Scotland to show it is serious about net zero. The key point is that reducing aviation will always be unpopular. The lobby will always say jobs, economy, tourism. But we are beyond that now. We are in a climate emergency. We must reduce our emissions, and we really, really need to reduce our emissions from aviation.